Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. I'm super excited to welcome Orr to the show. How are you, brother? Thank you very much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to have you. I've been looking on your website. It's really cool. Awesome stuff
Hmm.
on there. You're a tattooist and you also work on the spiritual side. But
Hmm.
I want you to explain to the audience your story, what you did, and how you became how you started on this spiritual journey that you're on.
Hmm. Specifically, the spiritual journey. My mother brought us to church. So always the presence of spirit, God, and otherworldly dramas and consequences. So always in the mind frame of the others and the presence of those watching, the watchers, so to speak, always present, cataloging our existences. Even in my anti-theistic modes, in my early 20s, um, still never shook the feeling of presence, even though I very desperately wanted to be atheist. And I did go through like a skepticism period where I started growing a brain, and obviously everybody goes the route of pragmatism and leans more on philosophies rather than spiritual conjecture, But what I started training martial arts early, so that was probably like where I really got the taste for esotericism as a day-to-day functioning, ideal. Like we prayed, we meditated, we did rituals and all this stuff. My teacher he was a pretty colorful individual. He taught us, ninjutsu and iaido. He was fascinated with swords and just discipline and all this kind of stuff. So when he taught meditation, it was quite the environment that I don't think it's a common environment. Most people, might meditate after yoga or something like that, but like he really was a very serious meditative instructor. We would often meditate for 2 to 4 hours just at the end of class, and that's uncommon, and I'm very grateful for that. Um, but from there, I really started to study the Dharma heavily after his tutelage. Got into Buddhism really heavily. Um, was pretty much a monastic for several years and just lived that way. I didn't take any vows or anything, but I spent tremendous amounts of time at temples and meditating with those types of contemporaries. And I would say that the creature sitting before you now the lights didn't really turn on for him until 2023 when I saw my first UFOs. So
Wow, man.
yeah,
It
things
was quite
shifted.
not long ago. Not long ago.
No, very recent. Yeah. And
Wow.
I don't even know him. Now I don't even recognize him from before that. I look back at that and I'm like that nothing was really going on. Like I was just an automaton, just kind of going through the motions and you know my first
Interesting.
experience seemed like kind of like an activation, and like I just was so inspired at that point and just felt so invigorated by purpose and wanted to share and as that was kind of rendering my old persona useless and turning me kind of into a holy person, um, other things started happening, and yeah, I mean, I made right with humans, and then a bunch of abilities started making themselves apparent, and they were always kind of there but muted. Like for instance, the remote viewing was kind of a useless thing that would happen, and then just with the I guess I could say the activation of my heart. Like I really
Interesting.
did become a whole different type of emotional body, and this brought about new awareness, and not even awareness, but just like it turned those functions and faculties on, and they were just on all of a sudden. So it actually did take a little while to like acclimate to what was going on, and it put a strain on some of my relationships. It put a strain on at work, especially the day after the UFOs. I didn't know what to say. I told the first people that I saw, and besides the person who saw it with me, but I told my clients the next day what had happened, and The guy who was there to get worked on, he was fascinated, but the lady he was with was very displeased what I was saying. And I went to the grocery store, and it really hit me when I just saw all of us as these bipedal things, and I didn't feel like that anymore. And I saw like a difference. Like I was like, wow. And then I heard the swiping at the checkout, the bloop, bloop, bloop. And then I looked at the eggs that I had in my hand and was just like, what the fuck is going on? You know? And it really was night and day, you know? The next day was very strange.
Wow, man. So if you can
Mhm.
take us back to that experience, that night or day where you saw
It was
this,
night, yeah.
what happened, man? Can you walk us through it?
Yeah, sure. Um, so I typically do little bonfires. It's one of my rituals. I do it all the time. I do it just to do it. I love to sit still, and I love to be with friends by the fire. I mean, who doesn't like that, right? Um, so this one we were kind of doing it to set the inspiration for this upcoming meditation class I was going to be teaching. So, setting motivation, sorry, which is just a very basic like affirmation exercise, you know. And so we're lighting the fire, and we're just vibing. It's just me and my buddy who had apprenticed sometime before, and now he works at a different shop. But you know, we're still really good friends. He's like my best friend, and uh, we had lit the fire, and I sit down, and I was just sitting. I had these nice little lawn chairs, and right as I relaxed, it was just like the urge to stand up. I stood up, and I looked, and right where I looked, like I just had this whoop, I can't even tell you, it was instinct. It was just like I just looked right at it. And where I looked, it wasn't already there. It came out of the sky. It was like 100 lights, like you see when people say the orbs.
Hmm.
This was before I knew anybody was gesturing at that. I had no idea about this. And I had recently heard of Starlink, and um, that thought process came after, but I'm watching it, and like I feel like magnets must feel, like buzzing. My hair was standing up. Like he was saying that it was cold. I definitely got that feeling, but it felt like glitter. You know, it was just like, whoa. And all I could say was, look at that, you know? And so I was like, get up, you know? So I'm standing up. We're kind of like huddled together, just watching it go from west to east. And it was so many of them, just this big grouping of them, all moving just across the sky, just really gently, no noise, but it felt like seeing a whale, like seeing a creature, you know? Like it really did look like it came out of like the dark water, you know?
Hmm.
And he goes, "Well, that's weird." And I don't even know if he said it. I don't think he said it out loud, but I could feel that he wanted to get his phone. It all happened. It was very quick, you know?
Hmm.
But when the moment that he reached into his phone, I was actually seeing his hand touch his phone. In the moment that he touched his phone, they went whoop, back against the dark, gone. And it just and I felt like I wanted to like laugh and cry at the same time. So I just sat down and got my breath, but it felt like doing mushrooms, and then it was just over. I was just so elated, like because I did want to double check that it wasn't Starlink that had like, you know, when I sat down, I was thinking about it because it was just like so many thoughts racing through my head. And I was like, okay, I don't want to fucking be crazy. I don't want to tell people I saw UFOs, but I distinctly knew that I saw what I saw. I
Hmm.
knew like because the CIA teaches people when they are when they are observing other people, don't pay direct attention to them because you'll get their attention. This is a real phenomenology. I felt like it was looking at me. I felt it looking at me. I felt it like, and I know this compounded with by other experiences that it will get your attention. It will nudge you to look right at it. And this is what happened my first time. I could tell you that now because it happens all the time, you know?
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow, what a cool experience. So it was like you was meant
Yeah.
you was meant to be in that moment. You would something has told you to look in that direction at that moment,
Yeah.
and it was like meant to be.
Now,
Wow.
yeah, now I know. Like I know so much more about it now. Um, just because I've seen that same thing occur with other people now who are around me. And it's it's not always the same, but it's like similar.
Hmm.
The activation is similar, and it's to the point where people, there's a network of people finding each other that have very specific insights and abilities. And people throw around this word synchronicity, but goddamn, it is so much more interesting than that. Like we need to stop labeling things because it just reduces the magic of what's going on. What's going on is miracles, miracles.
Hmm.
Like however you want to slice it, dice it, whatever the fuck is going on is super duper freaky.
Hmm.
And the light phenomenon has to have something to do with it because it's like, and I don't know what the fuck to say about it, honestly, because it's not like we have a friendship, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it certainly responds to your voice. It certainly responds to your attention, and pretty much anytime you can find that resonance, it's there. So that means that it always knows either your brain, and I think that's what it is. It feels more like because I can be inside somebody's head a little bit,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know. Yeah, you could tell. You could tell when you're being probed. There's more instincts going on. We're like more receptive than we imagine, and I feel like they know every frame of our lives.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like this concept of us being time bound is pretty unique to our predicament, and I don't think it really pertains to them so much.
Yeah, yeah. And when you talk about the other side, the spiritual realms, whatever they are, time, when anyone you talk to about this, time is like irrelevant. When you
Hmm.
talk to someone that's had like a near-death experience, say, they'll tell you the same thing. Wherever they was in that moment, time was irrelevant. It was nothing. There wasn't
Yeah.
time. So it's interesting you say that, man.
Hmm.
Can you? So did this happen? Are you based in Memphis? Memphis, is that right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Did this take place in Memphis?
Hmm.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I mean, I even knew then that it wasn't like it. I'm so glad I had somebody else there. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know what I would have made of it had he not seen it too, because it was just and it was so unexpected. I wasn't thinking about it. I had actually, I had gotten to a state of mind. My calculus didn't really pay any attention to that. Not that I had, um, you know, concluded that there was nothing here or nothing out there. I just no real thought process about it because I had just gone through a lot of personal stuff with my kids and relationships and business and all sorts of stuff, just like regular life stuff. And the last thing on my mind was, let's go ahead and be the UFO guy.
So
It's
before
like
before
I
this
don't think it's a good
experience,
look.
it's too late now, bro.
Yeah, tell me
But
about it.
I've seen things in the sky that I can't explain. So it's incredible when you see these things, and it changes your perspective on everything. Of course, it does.
Hmm.
I had experiences when I was a kid. I saw an entity in my room when I was very
Mm.
young, and that sort of from that moment, like I knew that there was more to this world, man. And so,
Hmm.
and I think the possibilities are endless when it comes to this world. I really do. And I think, as you said before, we do put things in boxes and we do shut ourselves off to things. Once you're open to it, man, that's when I think you start experiencing more. Kind of like what you were
Hmm.
saying about that. Was that your first ever experience, paranormal or
Um,
supernatural?
Certainly not my first paranormal experience, but at the time, I didn't think about it like that. I wasn't equating there. Literally, I can tell you that when this stuff started to increase, unfolding exponentially, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay, man. That's okay. I do that all the time. No, no, no
What were we
problem.
talking about?
No, so I was saying, was that your first? You were saying that's not your first experience.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
experience.
Um,
Can you explain what they look like? Those lights. Were
just
they?
lights, just like some of them were more. Oh shoot, I did have my train of thought. Damn it, I
It's
lost it again.
horrible. It's horrible when
They.
that happens. That's like you might see me every now and again writing stuff down. That's because I do
Mhm,
that all the time.
mhm.
I don't know what it is, but I think I have about,
Ugh.
three different, 400 or 500 different thoughts going through my mind at once. And you forget that one. You're like, oh, I remember that. I'll ask that in a second, or I'll say that in a second, and it's gone. And I'm probably not
Well,
helping you right now by talking.
I know I was saying that I didn't equate the UFO thing to a paranormal thing,
Yes. Yep.
but later the calculus really started to become more like cohesive, and then everything. And I'm not saying I have valuable answers, um, but some things clicked because some things became kind of uniform, and I can speak to that, and my receptivity to it has been bolstered by my going deeply back into my hermetic practices and deepening my meditative practices, because I'm more than a 20-year meditative experiencer. You know, I started meditating really young when I was 7. I got into energy cultivation at 7.
Wow.
Yeah, I look back now and it's like I feel like I was prepared for this moment. Like just being frank, it's
Yeah.
preparation and possibly like uh I don't know. Like, I mean, it feels certainly like activation,
Hmm.
because of the way that the information has unfolded, like my context. Um, Context has been sequential in the way that I come to it. So, I will read something and wow, like one instance of me coming to an information. I walked into a bookstore. I was actually on a walk. I wasn't intending to buy anything. I didn't really have a whole lot of money to buy something. And I walked into this bookstore, and I don't usually go for big books. I like little bite-sized books, like maybe something like this,
Hmm.
Um, but I walked in and grabbed this book off the shelf. This book, this big
Whoa,
book,
that's a
and
big
this book
book.
is,
For the
yeah, The
people
Essential
listening,
Law of
that's
Attraction.
oh
I
wow.
I had just finished a book that opened my head up to this and to this type of information. Had I not received the prior primer, none of this would have been as gravitas as it was.
Hmm.
And it was, and its effect has been like just at this point now there's like 1,000 different points of these serendipitous connections. So paranormal, geez, looking back, if I follow that calculus, then I can now through this lens of where a lot more things are back on the table after the UFO experience. um, I can look through that lens at certain things that have happened and say, "Holy crap! This was all part of the plan," you know?
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and
So were they like experiences that you kind of brushed off, but now
you
looking back,
know,
you were like, no.
well, it's like it just comes down to maybe misnomers and a lack of context or just confusing context. People saying ghosts when they don't really know what they're gesturing at. They're just
Hmm.
looking at an occurrence or a happening. And at this point, uh, after seeing that, and listening to experiencers talk, there's just so much that belongs to the calculus of our being that we take for granted, and we have a very narrow existence inside of a maze of roads and buildings, and the world is a lot stranger than it appears. I mean, my brain waking up to the heart center and waking up to the Earth's, magnetic pulse and field and the heart field in general, seeing it as a living creature, that we are standing on an alive thing, that we are literally, that is our progenitor source. And then above us, this other, this kinetic energy of the sun, this living, like that energy is here, and the plants, turn it into food for us, and we are sustained. This place is a perfect machine,
Hmm.
and the more you look into the matter of our predicament, you can see that it is contrived. And so that makes everything that's going on here super spectacular
Hmm.
because we don't know anything about it, but it isn't on accident. And furthermore, it's by design.
Hmm.
I don't know, but now I'm asking that question, and that puts you in the ballpark of God and creation, which I had really fallen off that path, and to find it through an experiential lens that I never had, because I watched people speaking in tongues and didn't like I had dismissed that, saying there's no way they're having that experience. In so doing, I was just dismissing my own experiences of that experience.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
we often do that.
yeah, yeah, man. Wow. So after you had this initial experience that kind of changed everything for you,
The UFO one.
the UFO experience,
Right,
how
yeah.
did those experiences continue? You continued seeing these,
Oh yeah.
whatever. What happened next, man?
Oh yeah. Well, I can say it isn't like a one thing that happens. Like, it's wacky. I actually I had a girlfriend who was very interested in mediumship, and I had never even heard of what that was, but she just started talking about it, and I actually had some resentment towards her for those ideas, just thinking like I could really totally have you please get like a part-time job or something. I was just thinking realistically, like, why are you gonna fuck with this? This is not. So I was extraordinarily dismissive of that and any other like phenomenology. Like, when you don't have a firsthand experience of something like that, you just don't know.
Hmm.
And then I man, I had several experiences before it started like really happening, but it was because it wasn't just apparent. Like it took me a minute to come to terms with the fact that it was happening and what was happening. But I remember when I fully made my mind that that was what was going on was I was I had a friend who was he was my client, but he was talking to me about some marriage stuff, and I could tell he was like really distressed. Like he was not sure if he should go through with divorce. There's cheating involved and all this stuff, and I just I remember that my cadence changed, my awareness changed, the feelings about what I was saying changed, and I just had so much clarity. Like all I had to do was flow, and there was no thought, and other words came out, and then something I could see something that really struck with him because I said something quite specific, and his shock and my shock, because I was like, we both were aware that something strange had just happened. And it was a while to like incorporate this as a waking thing, but at this point it's so ingrained that it is silly that I look back and just how silly was I? I just didn't have any awareness of anything, yet all the capacity in the world to participate in these more elevated faculties.
Hmm.
And that's all it is. So like I look now and just recognize that there's a quantum nature and there's a whole bunch of different types of energy all around us, and we can process a lot more different types of energy than we're aware. And one of the things that is constant in the presence of the vehicles or whatever the fuck they are is new information. And I feel like upgraded. Like my
Hmm.
body feels stronger. I feel more immune. I feel powerful. My cells feel alive. I feel hot. I want to meditate. I want to ride my bike. I want to feel like peak aliveness.
Hmm.
And then my Tetris score is so high. Like I play Tetris now. Like
What a
I
game!
yeah, I know. And
What
it,
a
it's
game!
it's
Yeah.
like it's like an impulse and an urge to do it. I have to do it. And it helps me process the data blocks that come through. And there's just such strange novel thought processes that come in, and I can have a dialogue with them about it. Like I can ask questions and then receive clarity, but it's like I said, sometimes it's a matter of maybe receiving actual words, or sometimes just like all the ideas laid out perfectly. And all I got to do is jot it down.
Hmm.
Or they'll be like, oh, I was telling you about when I went to get the big book. When I went inside the store, I walked right up to the book and I put my hand on the bookshelf and gasped really loud. And I was really embarrassed because I didn't expect to do it. Like it's not something I do. I'm pretty, I'm like withheld. I could be kind of verbose sometimes, but like I would not do that. Like if somebody with me had done it, I'd have blushed. Like, come on, like don't embarrass me here. That's how
Yeah.
I am. I don't like attention, and I certainly drew like everybody's attention to me and was like, fuck, I'm gonna buy this book and leave. And then I started reading the book and was like, oh my God, obvious.
Wow. So
This
you
book
didn't
is
even know what the book was about or anything. You just put your hand on it.
no, but it's ultimately, if I can say in a phrase what it is, you have the ability to bring whatever reality you want to yourself,
Wow.
right?
Manifestation and
Yeah, it's perfect.
wow,
It's like the
man.
whole if like you don't need any other books really. Like just read that, and they're like all these different books that are just so utterly fascinating, and an interest in math, an interest in geometry, an interest in Egypt, an interest in Metatron's cube, angels, Enoch, all this stuff. Just this wonderful, comprehensive awareness of the world, and which has resulted in a comfort and a communion wherein the my ultimate point right now on whatever the date is, June 16th, my best friend is a tree, and and I am so content. Like
Hmm.
this, I know that this place is perfect, and I have big plans for our species. I certainly feel I don't feel um I don't feel in harmony with what we are, but what we can be. And if and like I never had this urge or instinct, but if I could redirect their behavior, and change their interests and help them not feel so hollow, then I know they would be useful. And I think that's kind of like the big message that's coming through is like people say about them intervening. Well, that isn't interesting, and we're kind of like a useless resource. It's like an AI that doesn't do the jobs you ask it to do, and it wants to rip itself to pieces. So, I mean, that macro awareness is ever present in my mind. And I've met other people who are there and who are like looking for solutions, and we're all talking about magic, and we're all talking about energy and resonance and frequency and magic, and group magic and prayer and all these different things, because why not? I guess the zeitgeist is being flooded with these impulses and imperatives, because right now we have the ability to either end or move forward. And you hear that everywhere. You hear everybody talking like that. So it's like I hate that it seems special, but it's really not, I don't like when people say like I'm a channeler, I'm a psychic. We all are. You're part of the membrane of Gaia that has this kind of response.
Hmm. Hmm.
You are part of the ecosystem, and I can feel that, like like somebody looking in the mirror saying I want to lose weight or I want to stop smoking. Like we are Earth doing that, and and that is why it is, it's kind of alarming that we are waiting for someone to do it for us. It's like, if they did, do we even deserve to be here? And I kind of get that feeling like either we fight and protect the one planet we have, or there's no hope of us ever joining with anybody else who's gotten a little further along,
Hmm.
And that's what's
Interesting.
at our feet.
Hmm. Yeah, man. So these this ability and this feeling that you have now, do you think this was given to you by these lights, or do you think
Yeah.
just you seeing them opened you up and there that you always had this
No, I
inside you?
blame them. I blame them 100%, and I have many instances of them intervening on me in this regard to like change me. And I say this with no ego, I say this with no hubris, and I say this as humbly as I can. The way that they have oriented me, reconfigured me, they do me better than I was doing me. And I was self-centered and hostile and angry and full of tension. I was I was unhealthy. Like I was becoming healthier than I was. Um, but I do remember things like being as different as when I had a near-death experience. Like that I was not the same guy, and there really wasn't a guy, that like this was like a chance that something new was going to happen, and I really did feel like taking care of myself and taking care of other people and being gentle and like I don't remember. It is strange to recall this stuff because I haven't really thought about it. It's kind of one of those things that it's kind of come and gone at this point, but I do remember, that I was so fond of being outside at that point. I never left being out from under the stars. I'm always looking up now. And even back then, oh, I remember um, I had this kind of waking dream where I was out and I was awake. I was out, but I was just kind of daydreaming in the yard, and I was walking on the grass and just overcome by how much harm I must be doing in that moment. It was just like, oh my gosh, I should get over here. And I went and sat down on my steps, and there was a little praying mantis, and he was really tiny. He was a little brown one, and I swear, like the impression I got for him was, "Don't kill me," and I'm like crushed that he would assume that I would, and I'm in that moment, I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I so blissed out? Like I just am utterly in love with everything. And just like just seeing life in and out, and that just turned into like different types of awareness. But yeah, man, it's been a real trip.
Yeah, yeah. Did a similar experience happen to your friend that also witnessed the UFOs that night, or was
We
it a
don't really talk about it. I mean,
okay?
he acknowledges that something happened, but um we've never really talked about it. He just says he says it was weird. Um, he doesn't really, he's already kind of been entrenched in the strange, so I don't think it's the weirdest thing he's ever seen. And
Mhm.
he introduced me to psychedelics, so I when I saw that that was his strange world, I was like, all right, this guy knows some shit. So um, yeah, I didn't start that until late in life, and I'm glad because I can equate the two experiences, to be honest. Like I've definitely utilized psychedelics to have communication experiments to great effect. Like I don't want to talk about it too much just because I don't want anybody to get any ideas, but um, tremendous doses will bring you to the house of God and to somebody else's house, and then they'll basically it's a big fucking doctor visit that you know,
Yeah.
there's really nothing to say about it at all
Hmm.
other than I can't tell you what anything is and I don't know what's real,
Yeah.
I mean, I think everything we think is real at this point, just because of sensation and feeling parallel realities and all this kind of stuff. Like, that maybe that's just part of the awareness, the activation of the awareness. Maybe that's what the yogis are always trying to do. That's why they're so the emphasis is on love and compassion and all this stuff because it's like a frequency that facilitates just an entirely different, suite of visuals and ideals and feelings and sensations. And certainly, I don't feel like my sense apparatus is limited to my body. Like I feel things through you. I feel things through other people. I feel things through animals and trees. I feel like I have a sense of where the planets are and all this kind of stuff. So, and that's just all not something I went looking for, but um, things that I have found in recognizing that when I look at you, I'm not seeing um, you, I'm seeing God. When I see you, I see the God in you, and I can't not see it. So I don't have any enemies. And prior to that experience, I had nothing but enemies, burnt bridges, sour faces, and spoiled milk. So, but now it's like all I want is cohesion and awareness. Like, my frustration is like I wish that I could just put these thoughts in your head and then the angels say, yeah, you can do that.
Hmm.
And they said just it won't be like you think. And so finding a new avenue by which I can distill immaculate gospel from the air and hopefully inspire this same kind of communion.
Have your friends, like, do your friend, obviously your friends that you're close to now that you were close to before, have they noticed this huge change in you? Do they tell you? They must do.
Yeah, they don't know what to say. They don't like I'm dramatically different. And um I've gone through changes over time and I would be like kind of embarrassed to talk to you about my changes. Like I'd be like, don't observe me, but I am so far removed from what he was that like I don't identify with him.
Hmm.
I I don't identify with and this is the result of some psychedelic that I have done. I did 30 grams of mushrooms and had a like a I did have like a possession experience that really did left me change. That experience was probably my first contact experience. If I want to be like beyond what my mother told me that I have I have an episode of my podcast about it. I'm not very active with podcasting, but I definitely wanted to get my mom on the record because man, you really got to hear it from her. She says she saw the whole ship, so my contact experience goes back to me being like 4, but I don't have recollection of that. I've gone through past life regression therapy, and that's the one answer I can't get. Like every time I try to ask that question, it just clams up and doesn't want to say a word. And I even have on the record, my response was, he doesn't need to know that.
Wow, man.
It will make talking about like your life as another person all you want to know, anything you want to know. But the moment you want to know about that, off limits. You don't get to
That's
know.
so interesting.
That is
And
bizarre.
and that happened to you when you was 4.
I know I was present when she was seeing the thing. What makes it interesting to me is obviously she's Southern Baptist. She's going to heaven. She's not a liar. When she only told me quite recently, and I had never heard it like she told me. Like we always acknowledged that, there was a weird thing that happened back then, but she never opened up about it. And I just asked her point blank at the table recently because we don't live in the same state. But when she came to visit, I got her to talk about it, and she just said point blank, like I saw a big silver ship or a bowl, like she describing this big silver thing with lights and I'm like, okay, tell me more. And she was saying that immediately there was fear. She had fear, and she stopped the car. She stopped driving out of fear. She said it was above the trees and there was no wind. It made no noise. And then she said she got really afraid when she couldn't hear the crickets. We live kind of like in a swampy area called Bayou George, and she was saying that she was just so alarmed because there was just no noise and anyway, she's telling me that, and I'm like, Mom, do you have any fucking idea what you're talking about? Do you know what you're saying to me? Do you know what you're describing? Like she doesn't watch. Like if you watch paranormal stuff, my mom watches like Ricky Lake and like, bullshit. She watches bullshit, American Idol. She's not watching X-Files. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? She's not watching Unsolved Mysteries. Like we know these stories are a dime a dozen. And I'm like, holy crap, you had that experience. So she said that something in her head said to drive and she drove And then when she got to where we were going, we had missed dinner and there was, and I am not saying anything about this. I know that's like classic setup for I don't remember being abducted. I don't think about that. I don't know that. I don't think that seeing a UFO automatically means that that happened. But when we got there, they were like, "Where have you been?" And then she told them that she saw something, and they kind of thought it was a joke until she burst into tears. Then they went and looked, and that was that. But I never saw that the way I remember that because I remember that. I remember that time. And she asked me like a couple years later, like, "Do you remember that?" And I went back to that moment in my head, and I was so young that you don't really have a lot of context for the things that go on in the world. So like when you're young, like stuff happens for the first time a lot.
Hmm.
And so I just thought this was just, business. I thought this was just regular business. Like, she was stopped and it was really dark. She says it wasn't quite dark yet. So we have different memories of this. She said it was dark, and I remember I got afraid. I was sitting in the back in the middle, and her hands were on the steering wheel and she wasn't moving, and there was a bright light in front of the car, like a helicopter spotlight. And I crawled over the console and was touching on her face, and she wasn't blinking or anything. She was looking straight ahead, and she wasn't talking. And I was touching her face, like, come on, like move. Like it was really freaking me out. And then I remember either she said something or it just I never showed her that I was scared. But that's really the end of that. I don't even remember how that story resolves. I don't even
Hmm.
remember that. But because
Wow.
you're four. I was four. I don't
Hmm.
know. But when she told me, this is what like brought my like holy crap, like revelation. When she told me what she saw, I was like, all right, some funky stuff might have happened. You know what I mean? And I'm open to that.
Hmm.
It
Wow,
makes
man.
sense.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that must have been terrifying as a 4-year-old to experience that.
No, I didn't know what to make of it because I think at that point I had seen like a helicopter. I'm pretty sure that like I had like a at least some idea that there are like, forming what prosaic things are, that other people drive cars. Oh, that's so and so's car. This is something in the sky. And I kind of remember having the impression that it was like the military, you know, like it was
Hmm.
like because I believe that my uncle was in the army at the time, and that's probably why I had that impression. So, but she certainly does not remember it that way at all.
Interesting, man. Interesting.
Very.
And there's possibly more happened to you, but you can't, for whatever reason, they don't want you to unlock that memory. That's so interesting, man.
Yeah, it's not my business. And also my near-death experience wasn't like a big field day. Like for most people, they have like the most vivid things happen.
Hmm.
I just remember coming back online and I was suspended in a void and I had my basically for all intents and purposes had died by all measure had died a couple times. Breathing stopped because I was an electrician and got inducted like officially one night, and we had a tailgate party, and my foreman was this good old boy who made his own moonshine. And so I was trying some of the moonshine, and then I paid for one. I paid him 15 for my own. And so I said, "Can I sit with you and drink?" And so we're drinking. And I remember like I wasn't tipsy or intoxicated because I'd never had moonshine before. And just I was trying everybody's fruits because there's fruit in them. And I was drinking, a big swish here, big swig here. And then the next thing I remember is like being at the hospital, right? But that wasn't it. Like I just I I remember a bunch before that, before remembering being in the hospital. Um, I was suspended in the void, and I could hear echoes, and I knew that I was waiting, and um, I heard somebody saying something that sounded. It was definitely a lady talking, and I felt the urge to disagree with her, even though I didn't know what she was saying. Like I just really knew she was wrong, and I wanted desperately to tell her that she was wrong. And so I like began to vocalize that, and I was immediately just stuffed into my body, like completely. I mean, it was like a video game, bro. It was the most bizarre trip. Like it was like a roller coaster, like going in, but it was like abrupt, unapologetic, and mean as hell. And I was intubated. I had a tube down my throat, a tube in my nose. I had a catheter, and I was cuffed to a bed with the Velcro because usually when people wake up, they pull the tube out, you know?
Hmm.
So they had me restrained. And so I woke up real suddenly, and right when I did, somebody was off to my periphery and was like, "Hey, you need to be cool. You need to calm down because there's a doctor that's about to walk in here. And if he sees you panicking, then you're probably going to be here for a long time. They'll put you under. They'll sedate you." And I was gesturing okay, but when I was trying to look at the person, there was nobody there. And so I waited. The doctor came in the room. And he goes, "Nurse." He called for the nurse, and then people came in. And the whole time this was going on, like a nurse finally came to the bedside and was like, "Hey, hey, we're gonna get you unplugged, okay? Just hang in there. We're gonna work to get you awake. You know, we know this is uncomfortable." But the whole time I'm waiting to see the person who was there with me, and he never was in the room.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was possibly like a
That was
spirit
about
entity.
2017. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And that impression has never left. That was before the UFOs, but like knowing that we're not alone,
Hmm.
like it's taken me a time to kind of recognize that the Bardo, as mentioned in like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and you know, it's just like this is like a consciousness lattice that exists between dimensions. The dimensionality is just this layer cake of happening, but the afterlife is right here,
Hmm.
is what I'm saying. And that you can enter that frequency and be there, and it's like, well, why aren't we thinking that these things are like I just saw a story today. It said something like science has explored a new state of life or something like that, like some state between life and death. And I'm like, duh, welcome to the party. That's exactly what's going on here. So, the presence that was there was able to refer to things that were happening in my time frame, my time space paradigm, my individual reality experience. And now it's like, okay, if I'm going to touch myself in my room, I better make sure that I'm at least halfway presentable because I'm not fucking alone. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
knows what's going on. They know what's going on. They're like, I've just got so many points of confirmation on that at this point. After that, I was like super fascinated and studied like 500 near-death experiences, and it's
Hmm.
obvious that that's absolutely part of our ecosystem,
Yeah, that's wild, man. So can I ask what actually put you in that position? Was it the moonshine? Was it just
Yeah.
something in the moonshine?
No, I just drank too much.
Oh
I drank like
wow.
2.5 liters and had like acute blood poisoning. And
Whoa.
apparently, I called my wife at the time or texted her and told her I needed a ride. And then I I was out for like a day and a half and then returned to work so it was Friday so I spent the weekend in the hospital and then I went to work Monday. And my foreman, man, he was so upset. He was so like he was afraid that I just told him I had a good time. I was numb, I just fucking died and had that weird
Yeah.
experience, and like nothing phased me. Like somebody who gives me a hard time was giving me a hard time, and it just didn't phase me.
Hmm.
But I asked, like, so what happened? Like they're like, well, you kept winking a lot and you kept trying to count the moon. And then when you left, you got in the van and you turned around to me and said goodnight, and that was it. We didn't see anything. So apparently by the time I got to the house, I was so messed up that my wife tried to bring me to the couch, and apparently I slipped and hit my eye. And the neighbor came over and saw that I was drunk and she was gonna help, but then I like threw up and it was bile. So they sent me to the hospital. So I was lucky that he came over and helped out.
bro.
She was just going to bring me on the couch. I wouldn't have made it, you know. I'd have fell asleep and never woke
Wow.
up.
Oh
Yeah, it was wild.
man.
And I'm pretty sure the guy that helped her call the ambulance robbed me before. So, yeah.
Bro.
It was a funky ass situation for sure, but I learned a lot.
Well, I mean, fair play for still turning up to work on the Monday. Literally on the
Yeah.
Friday, died on the weekend, back to work on the Monday. That is
Yeah.
incredible. Bro, man, when you was in the void, when you was in that space,
Uh-huh.
what did it look like? Can you remember what it looked
Just
like?
black. Just black. But I had a feeling of myself, but I couldn't see myself. Like I felt like my shape and personality, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like I felt, but I knew I wasn't anywhere. But it was like as lucid as we are right now.
Wow. So you
Like
couldn't
it
like
wasn't
put your hand, like you couldn't see your hand in front of
nothing.
you.
No, but I was awake as I am right now. Like just awake and just in black. And then it was like there was no sensation, there was no emotion, there was no worry, nothing. Like I was just like a chicken on a meat hook, you know, just waiting my turn. And then boom, slingshot into this shit and like gagging and feeling my penis, feeling the tube down my penis and like realizing I can't move my arms. Like it was a lot to wake up to, but certainly a very sharp contrast to just being the most placid and comfortable I've ever been in my entire life. Like I actually like can't wait for that again, you know? To
Interesting.
not be bound by the body.
Interesting. And you hear that. I've talked to many people that have had near-death experiences, and
Yeah.
apart from one account that I can remember, it's always been a positive experience, which I find
Yeah.
very interesting, man. Because you're going through something, you know, very hard, very difficult, and you've died.
Hmm.
It's you've gone through a lot of pain at that moment, but wherever you've gone, you've had this incredible experience.
It's always been a positive thing.
Hmm.
I've never like been anything but grateful for it.
Hmm.
So, and like I said, that you talk about paranormal experiences, like I didn't think of that as that. I didn't think of that as anything spiritual and now I still don't. Like I don't we just use these words. It's just something that is. It's just it's not special. Like everybody's gonna have that. Everybody. You can count on it. Like if you're fascinated by hearing somebody's, near death experience, just know, buddy, you got it. You're coming. It's yours. You're gonna have it. It's gonna be really special too
Hmm.
you know I mean like the death experience is going to be special no matter what because you're going to come away from it and you're not coming back. That's the cool part. So your
Hmm.
different is just going to be so different. And if we're talking about like my current spiritualism, I'm obsessed with the other life, because I spend all my time in that kind of communion. I spend all my time in that awareness, knowing that that's on the horizon. Like nothing is more obvious to me than that the currency that we all have, the only currency that we have is time,
Hmm.
time and awareness, and whatever we give our attention to is what we deem important. Those are our priorities, but we should shift our priorities to thinking about this because it will be apparent that it is extraordinarily important, at least at the time of passing, if not before, hopefully before, because I know now that we're here to live out lives, as they are contrived by whomever, and it seems really important to them. That's why they send you back. They say, go back. You're not done. Go back. I have that so many times from so many people. You're going back. All right, enough here, kiddo. Time to scram. Time to go home. Go
Hmm.
do a good job. Go do all that. It seems really important to the other side, like to our facilitators and creators, to the world even.
Hmm.
And it's like they're like, well, you haven't had enough or something like that. I don't know. Go take your medicine. Go put on the VR headset. And, when you're there, you definitely see it's like a scuba suit to be in this 3D place. So like if we're here and it's there's some reason for it, then it must be that this place is like a test or something,
Hmm.
and maybe like even a grounds for maturation or readiness or something. My conception is that we're all, if we're here in the first place, we're here because we're ready to be here, and you know, we'll even if it takes us 1,000 times, a trillion times to do it, we'll end up in the next octave, you know.
Hmm.
And that's,
Interesting,
that's a
man.
very complicated idea, but yeah.
Hmm. When you're in a meditative state now, can you get close to where you was in that other realm, or does it not compare? I mean, how close can you get to that in this life, if that
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense?
easy. That's easy. I could be anywhere. I can be anywhere that I want to be. And I could see like I could see really far out and really like to the point where it all just looks like the same thing. And like fuzz, cotton candy sand, Um all the different well, there's stuff that satellites don't see, and yeah, places on the planet, other planets, other places, other people, you know. Um the that astral space is it's inside of you, like you're like a black hole and like everywhere your mind is, all mind is. So everything is on the electron. Everything is written in space. Everything is written between dimensions, and everything is exactly where you are. Wherever your awareness exists all the information, no matter where you are. No matter where you are, it is. All
Hmm.
of it, everything. Because now we are confused about like entanglement. We say entanglement. Entanglement is like derogatory to what's really going on. Like since it all was one particle, do you think it ever stopped being one particle? Everything is still one particle. Everything is still in the same place. So that space is like what you really are,
Hmm.
like you're emanating from it. So I don't really know how to quantify it or define it. There's no defining it. The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. So like it doesn't have like a one way. Like even here, like this anthropomorphic existence is quite unique. You know what I mean? And it's not the only thing going on. And certainly, like even this entire time space, construct is not the only thing going on in the mind of God. There's so many different universes too, that we just don't, we won't ever be able to like have unless we move to that, unless we go there, we won't have a sense or an apparatus for processing the data that come from those planes. Because they are just so foreign and alien to our sense apparatus, or perception, which I don't think perception has an end. So, anytime that I've had an experience, I've been able to integrate that place into my knowing. So, the psychedelic sphere, I've incorporated all those awareness into me, and I could turn the visuals on like that. I could turn on um, with seeing the afterlife like that place. I could be there. I'm there now. Like that's why I can so like tell you, like it's right here, and I know so much more about that space too, like what it really represents and what it is. I've come to say often that the apex expression of nature is the imagination. Like think you can create images in your mind at will, and think about all the other things that exist. Think about how unique and special that is. And if we take to heart the lessons of the Kybalion or the Hermeticum, that this is a mental place, the whole plane is mental, it's a mental construct, then you recognize that all the different, aggregate forms that you see are just machinations in the mind of God,
Hmm.
and this limitless, like you are, like when you are made in its image, when you're made in the image of the Elohim, when they're made in their God's image, we are all made in the image of creative forces and intentions, and that's what we are. So like we possess all the faculties of our creators and more probably, like there's a reason that Enlil or the deity gets frustrated at our awareness after we eat the fruit of knowledge, because now we are contenders for his throne. And that is why he displaces himself to limit our years and to limit our vision and to limit our language and to scatter us, across the deserts and such. Because why? Why would you do that if you were not mortal? You know?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, man. You're blowing my mind tonight, brother. You
Thanks, you
really
too,
are.
man.
You really are, man. So going back to these lights in the sky, well, I mean, what would you call them? What would you? I know you're not going to put them in a box, but what would you UFOs or?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're unidentified at this point. Like their lights,
Hmm.
I can't tell you about them. Like I don't have one. I know a lot of people are like fucking orb experts out here, but um same as everybody, like the one thing I don't have to do is be like pure. Like I'm human and I have talked to them like they're morons and they come. I've talked to them like they're enemies and they've come. I've talked to them like I'm mad at them and they come. I talk to them like I'm mad at them and they make me see other people. That's how I met one of my friends at Skywatcher.
Hmm.
I just like screeching at the heavens like, why aren't you helping me? And I said, fine, I'm gonna come look at you. I'm gonna come find you. I'm gonna go look at you. And I ended up looking at someone else. And that came with a bunch of visions and stuff that, I don't want to get into it, but synchronicities like talk about like the weirdest shit in the world. I tell my friends what was happening, and then the news stories break about such and such whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork saying this and that. And I'm like, guys, I fucking told you this a month ago. And then I had a dream about the guy, and he was wearing like a funny party hat, and all these people were bringing stuff to him. He's completely disinterested in what I was showing him or what they were showing him. I was just looking at him, and then the next day I had opened my phone, and there was a video of him, and I'm just like, that's the guy that was in
Oh.
my dream right there. And then like fast forward, not long later, we had become friends, and he came and visited me, and like it's just, and that's just like that just brings my awareness to a deeper happening here, a deeper phenomenology that
Hmm.
I'm open to it. Like I don't have anything to say about it. I even him meeting him, like I don't I don't take anything anybody says to me, like it's all just data. And because like he has similar questions that I have and similar experiences, and the other people that I've met through him, same, just kind of in the same boat. And it's more of like I don't want to speak for them, but it's always just communal, like it's like what's our relationship with it? Well, it's different, but it's special. I feel very fond of it. Like um maybe I'm delusional. Maybe it's like a weapon system that has an affinity for certain people. I don't know. That seems retarded to me, but I don't know what to say about it. But I
Hmm.
know that when it's around it, like it will nudge you. You'll look right up at it. And I know that sometimes it's camera shy and sometimes it's not camera shy. I know that I prayed like an idiot on my friend's his it was his mother's birthday, but his mother had passed. And I said, look, man, come hang out with me. We'll go to the river and we'll try to see something, like this might be a special time to do it. And so I'm like, you know, we park and we're going to my spot where I like to view. And and I'm praying all the way there, like not don't make me look like a fool, but like, hey, this guy could really use this right now. He could really. And we go up to the steps that lead down to the river, and I'm like, okay, we've come, we're here, and my friend is here, and he would really very much like to see you. And then all the lights that were right there just started scattering and started doing, and he was just like, whoa, 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 look at that. And we actually stayed and got our fill for like quite a bit of it. And I said, man, I don't want to be weird, but and I know this is like kind of a raw time to say this, but I think this might be your mother. And he was like, dude, I have the same feeling. And like he just got really emotional, and it was an emotional thing.
Hmm.
But it was from me being pragmatic. um I don't I don't get words from it. I don't get emails from it. I don't get a high five from it. I don't I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but
Hmm.
I asked for it and I got
Hmm.
and it just seems pleasant. I'm just very cordial. I say goodbye, thank you. Thank you for your time. Like I'm just gonna move on. I'm cool with
Hmm.
this. Like it's just commonplace at this point. And I'm not a summoner. There's some people who are like summoners, and sometimes I do ask for it and it doesn't come. And I know that they're on their time, not on my time. And just there's just certain behaviors that seem to be constant and certain positions that you can take based on that. Um, I wouldn't say that they're friends. I wouldn't say that they're benevolent. And I've definitely gotten like I've definitely I've made friends again with Chris Bledsoe, but like for a minute I was at odds with them because of, how people are eating out of their hands saying, well, this is, a benevolent thing. I don't think we have evidence for that. And there's a bunch of other stuff going on in my life that all kind of orbit this phenomenology, but to say that they are connected is kind of faith for me, you know? And I don't deny any of the phenomenology, but I don't pretend to know what or why, because like for real, I live like pretty much like a holy person now.
Hmm.
And I don't really have like pictures on my wall or I don't do a lot. I pray a lot, meditate a lot, and I make time for communication. I teach meditation now, and I do my task, but that's it. Stay simple. And like he's like totally different. He's totally different now. So I don't know what to make of it. Like if that's like the end all be all, then but it doesn't seem that way. It's like other opportunities have come up to like talk to people and they seem to find interest in what's being said. So it's like, if anything, their presence has encouraged me to tell people like, hey, at least your world is bigger than you think.
Hmm.
And maybe that's their only task. Maybe that's the only thing. Like maybe because the more aware I am of the people now, the more I'm just like, why the fuck would anybody want to give these rabid animals free energy or spaceships or gravity lensing for that matter? Like look at this retarded war, these people throwing missiles at each other and rockets at each other, killing babies and people, and they all justify themselves, but it's like we're letting them do it. So like even our best are like laying on their bellies with spines of jelly, completely disarmed. Like I mean, yeah, you are outgunned and outnumbered, but there's people like that know what the fuck is going on and they're not talking about it. Why aren't we doing anything about it? Because they've already won, you know? I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but you know, uh, I just see maybe the solutions lie in consciousness,
Hmm.
and and that has a shelf life on it. So like if we like for me, I live for it, but I'm one person and I don't really sway anybody's attention. People know that what I ask is a tall order. Like I'm always saying what any spiritual person says, like, hey, we got to meditate. But most people are just too intrigued by their own lives and can't really see further than their noses. And so I don't know. I really wish that and I have hope for some of the stuff that I know to see if it will play out like it can play out. Just judging by what's been said and what I've seen, all the pieces exist to make like a really serious demonstration that would like really make people's jaws drop, and then we could start having a different discussion. But unfortunately, this is beyond that. This is like in the realm of privatization and monetization and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, do we have no fucking self-respect? At this point, if Jesus descends from the heavens, there's going to be an agency that's there to collect his body.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then people who want a piece of it, and everybody's going to have a theory about it, and we're going to miss the point that Jesus came from the sky. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, man. Interesting stuff, brother. Interesting stuff, man. When you see these lights, are they always the same, or do you see them
No.
in different shapes?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the little black orbs, the little like hard ones.
Hmm.
Nothing like oh, I did see a silver one. Um it looked like a ball and it had a bunch of balls coming out of it. But they didn't look like liquid or anything. It didn't look it just looked like they were passing right through it, like it didn't even exist. And I
Hmm.
have a video of it where they're like orbiting this, like
Wow.
kind of contracting. And then yeah, I was telling my girlfriend at the time to come look at it, but um I've seen like a I looked I wasn't really paying too much attention because we were on airways, which is an airplane road. There's like always airplanes. So like I don't even pay attention to the sky there because it's like airplanes. I'm always looking for stuff, right? But
Hmm.
um uh I was looking at something that looked like an airplane and just in kind of like a daze. And then I kind of like took like a second look, kind of like snapped out of my daze and was like, is that? And the moment that I did it, woof, just gone. I'm like, wow, that was unlike anything I've seen so far. It looked like a piece of orzo pasta, you know? And then I've seen lots of different lights. I've seen nighttime stuff like that. I've seen like a highway of things where it just seems like a bunch of them are coming in like a big loop. And then I've seen like a big procession like Starlink, but like really, really spaced out. And then like they'll be in like bunches. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? Like, is it satellites? I don't know. Is it satellites? But I look stuff up and it's like, it's not satellites. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I'm like, how the fuck is nobody else seeing this? Um, I've seen the orbs with my friends and I've seen, oh, I saw one with my friend at a pub, and I have a video of us like I recorded it, and she's like, "What the hell is that? What is that?" And to us, it was just like a big white disc, but it could have been like a drone. But so I was recording it, and you could hear her saying, "What the hell is that? What is that?" And in my footage of it, it's just a little speck, but it was really big to our eyes. So that was only
Interesting.
one instance of that, but yeah, it was strange, you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were saying sometimes these things they're aware when you're trying to record them and will disappear. They don't.
So that's only I don't conflate these things for each other. I imagine seeing stuff has a lot to do with looking up more and paying
Hmm.
more attention. My awareness has extended to the sky, and I think in three dimensions all the time. So I'm always feeling like what's around me now, and I'm not like not just body aware anymore, or not just like conceited into myself. Like I'm feeling all the people, I'm feeling the birds, I'm feeling the clouds. I'm always extending my consciousness out, you know. Um, so now it's like I know constellations when before looking at UFOs, I never knew any constellations.
Hmm.
And now I'm just like fascinated. I've got favorite constellations now. I'm proud of myself, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So
Yeah.
are you kind of guaranteed if you go out, let's say you went out tonight and sort of asked to see something, are you kind of guaranteed to see something or?
No. I mean, like I said, I'm not a summoner. Like it's special and I have a reverence for them because now I'm like, I think being in the sky affords you an undeniable superior position. So like even if it's just another man in an air balloon above you, he's at a very sharp advantage compared to you, right? So I could say that it's superior. So I put myself in those shoes and study the ants a lot now. I study ants. I pay attention to ants a lot. I have like a couple of ant colonies around that I pay very close attention to and spend a lot of time with them and just observe them. And they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. As smart as I am, I have a phone and this computer, and I'm pretty smart. I'm a pretty smart guy, but am not I'm not very equipped to communicate with them or to understand their politics or to understand their hierarchies. I can make assumptions about it, but I'm just not participating in it. It doesn't pertain to me. And
Mhm.
therefore, it is only so interesting to me. It's fascinating to watch. And I mean, maybe I could exploit it somehow. I don't know. Maybe I could find entertainment in it. I don't know. That's currently what it is, entertainment and fascination. But we don't have a lot to offer each other. And I would, if they found a way to like tell me they wanted my attention, I'd humor it. I'd be like, wow, great. But then I'd be like, all right, I'm fucking bored. I want to go do something else now. You know what I mean? And like, I'd get annoyed if it was like, hey, man, like, I really use you right now. You know, like, buddy, like, hey, you out there? You know, it's, I don't do that. And for a while, I even stopped trying to record them. You know, I try every once in a while now, but I'm like, this is fucking futile. I can't, like, I'm not gonna post this because somebody's gonna be like, well, that's an airplane, and I'm just like, ugh. I don't even feel like whipping my phone out because it's special when it happens.
Hmm.
And I had a weird vision one time. Oh, it was actually after the Orzo sighting. The vision that came to my head was like I saw white Jesus in front of me, and my instinct was to pull my phone out and record him. And it disgusted me. I was disgusted with myself. I was like, yuck. I hate that. Like, yeah, that's totally what I would fucking do. So I don't know. I changed my tone a little bit.
No, man, I've seen weird things in the sky, and
Tell me about it.
and had my phone in my pocket and not even thought about my phone. And you think, oh, if I just got that video, I could put it out there, but you're right though, people just say, oh, people dismiss the internet is very dismissive now with stuff like that. There's so much out there, but at the same time, not a lot is taken seriously on the internet when it comes to UFO videos and things like that. So,
Yeah.
but that's not
That's
what
the
that's
the videos are futile because of the AI and
yeah,
all that
yeah.
noise. It's like, why don't you just have a special experience, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, really take it in, really taking them out. Because I've been on Bournemouth Beach where I live, and literally, me and the wife have seen something out to the sea, which could be anything. I'm not saying it was definitely a UFO, but seen like a light that's not moving, that seems strange, doesn't seem like a plane or anything else. And I've literally, this one time I did try and get a video, and I put my hand in my pocket. Time I looked up, this thing was gone, and I was like.
Hmm.
If I just kept, I
Yeah.
would have seen it. Maybe I could have seen it shoot off, or she didn't either. But yeah, so I get what you're saying, man. But it's very interesting. You've blown my mind tonight, brother. You really have. You've given me a lot to
Thanks,
think
man.
about, and I'm sure the listeners are going to have a lot to think about as well. It's very interesting, man. So thank you very much. Thank you very much
Yeah,
about
man. Thank you
sharing.
so much for having me.
And you're also a tattooist as well. We didn't really get too much into that. I'd love to maybe get a tattoo from you one day. I'd love to get a
Oh,
sleeve.
yeah.
I really do want to get a
Yeah, I would love
sleeve.
to do that. I've been
I,
doing more the esoteric stuff these days, so
Mhm.
whenever you're ready to show off, let's do it.
Yeah, man, let's go. I keep changing my mind though of what I want. That's the problem. I'll get an
Yeah.
idea and then I won't get it done, and then I'll 6 months later I want something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Figure it out.
That's
You know,
it. That's it.
we're in the end time, so it's time to decorate that corpse a little bit,
Yeah,
you
I need
know?
to I need to get it going. I need to get it going.
Uh,
Well, brother, thank you so much, man.
yeah,
I hope
man.
this is the
Thank
first of
you.
many conversations because I'd love to talk to you more.
Yeah.
I feel like we can deep dive into more stuff. So thank you very
Yeah,
much.
man.
Can you
Thanks,
tell the
brother.
listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter on X as terrestrial without the vowels. So the word terrestrial with the instead of the vowels, it's X's. Terrestrial. TXRRX. Help me out. STRXXL. That sounds right.
And I
And then
might.
I'm on Instagram as Metamancy.
Awesome, brother. Well, I'll share the links will be in the show description so people can find you right now. Brother, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
Keep up
man.
the
Have a
awesome
good day.
work. I'd love to talk to you more. I'd love to do this again sometime. So thank you, man.
Same, brother.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, share it where you can. That is a great way to support the show. We'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. But in the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, sir.
See you, man.